Picture this: you are 8 years old, standing in a cathedral that seems to stretch endlessly above your small frame. The stone beneath your bare feet is icy, pressing into your toes, and the scent of incense mixes with the metallic tang of fear in the air. Shadows stretch across the faces of hundreds of nobles, their eyes hidden behind masks of expectation and curiosity. A golden ring, too heavy for your tiny hand, slips over your knuckles and dangles loosely from your finger. The boy beside you, barely older than you, fidgets as the echoes of chanting priests fill the vaulted hall. You are Agnes of France, and today your childhood ends. You are about to become Empress of the Byzantine Empire through a marriage you did not choose, to a boy emperor who will die within years. The gold, the silk, the ceremony, all masks for the machinery of power grinding your life into its teeth. Outside, the world continues unaware of your sacrifice. In France, your father negotiates for influence. In Constantinople, officials calculate wealth and loyalty. No one considers that beneath the silk and ritual, a child trembles, powerless. Even today, across the world, children face similar fates: forced marriages, stolen childhoods, and expectations far beyond their years. The story of Agnes reminds us that history is not just dates and names. It is the quiet suffering of the powerless beneath empire's gilded halls. Agnes was born around 1171 AD, daughter of Louis VII of France and his third wife, Adele of Champagne. Even before her first breath, her life was measured in political calculations. Her father, desperate to strengthen France's position against the encroaching power of England and maintain influence in Europe, accepted a proposal from the Byzantine Empire. Agnes would be betrothed to Alexios II, the young emperor, to secure an alliance. Her life, measured in treaties and alliances, became a transaction before she even learned to walk. She was the price of diplomacy, a child sacrificed on the altar of strategy. French court officials and Byzantine ambassadors negotiated terms of her marriage, presenting gifts of silk, spices, and manuscripts illuminated with gold. Every detail of her existence, from dress to comportment, was curated to serve the ambitions of men she barely knew. Education for Agnes became a preparation for survival. Tutors arrived to teach her Greek, Byzantine customs, and religious observances she could not yet comprehend. She learned to bow, to curtsy, to speak in measured tones. Her childhood, once filled with toys and laughter, was replaced with etiquette and ritual. The voyage from France to Constantinople was long and treacherous. From the vineyards of Burgundy to the Alpine passes where snow fell unexpectedly, Agnes traveled through landscapes that mirrored the turbulence awaiting her in Byzantium. A sea crossing from Venice left her seasick for days, clinging to the rails as waves battered the galley, tossing her fragile body like a doll. When Constantinople finally appeared on the horizon, its skyline glittered with domes and towers, yet the city was already showing cracks beneath its golden veneer. The empire stretched from the Danube to Anatolia, but internal strife, rebellious governors, and encroaching Seljuk Turks signaled a realm in slow decay. Her first meeting with Alexios II took place in the vast throne room, his small feet dangling above the ground as he struggled beneath silk robes too heavy for his frail body. Neither child understood the ceremonial phrases they recited, their voices tiny echoes against the enormous space. Palace officials monitored every gesture, ensuring obedience and precision, while curiosity and fear swirled in their young hearts. Life in the palace became a rigid performance. Agnes rose before dawn for prayers, practiced posture, and learned every nuance of court etiquette. Tutors drilled her in Greek, theology, and history, while palace physicians monitored the sickly Emperor Alexios. She observed his coughing fits, the blood he spat, the weakness that stole months from his life, and yet she could do nothing but sit beside him and clutch her dolls. Court intrigue surrounded her like fog. Courtiers whispered, servants flinched, and the shadow of Andronikos I Komnenos, the emperor's cousin, grew longer with each passing day. Agnes, still a child, felt unease without knowing its full cause. Every gift from Andronikos, a comb, a scarf, a book, carried the subtle weight of manipulation, and every conversation he shared was calculated to entangle her in his designs. In 1183 AD, Alexios II died. He was barely a teenager. Agnes, now 12, stood beside his golden sarcophagus in Hagia Sophia, enveloped in black silk and the scent of myrrh. The empire mourned publicly, but power shifted quietly and efficiently behind the scenes. Andronikos seized the throne, leaving no room for objections. Within weeks, Agnes was forced into a marriage with him, an old man whose lifetime dwarfed hers. The second wedding was even more harrowing. The ceremony combined mourning and new power, layering grief with coercion. Agnes, still a child, wore a gown heavy with silk and embroidery, her crown a cold, heavy circle atop her head. Every step, every gesture was dictated. The priest's words, Byzantine and incomprehensible, wrapped her in a legal and spiritual bond she had no understanding of. Andronikos, nearly 60, towered over her, his presence a mixture of authority and threat. Courtiers, conditioned by fear and tradition, treated her as property, an emblem of legitimacy, not a person. Tutors immediately began teaching her adult responsibilities. Physicians monitored her health for childbearing readiness. The wedding, which might have symbolized joy or hope in another life, was instead a performance of control, a tangible imprint of a childhood stolen and a future dictated by the ambitions of others. Agnes' story is not only about medieval politics or the Byzantine court, it is about the human cost of power. A child thrust into responsibility beyond her years endured manipulation, loss, and violence, and yet history often records only titles and dates, not the quiet suffering beneath. Her resilience, though remarkable, came at the cost of innocence and freedom. Modern reports remind us this is not just a relic of history. According to UNICEF and UNFPA, millions of girls are still forced into marriage worldwide before the age of 18. Medical studies highlight the lifelong consequences: psychological trauma, higher mortality in childbirth, disrupted education, and the stripping away of choice. Like Agnes, these children navigate adult responsibilities while still developing physically and emotionally. The echo of her life lingers: the palace walls, the incense, the gilded ceremonies, all mirrors for the ways power continues to exploit vulnerability. Her story warns us that ambition, when unchecked, often sacrifices the most defenseless. Just as Byzantium crumbled from internal decay and external threats, so too do societies today fail to protect those most in need of care. Agnes' resilience, her survival, is a testament to human endurance, but also a shadow of sorrow. Her tale urges us to remember the children behind historical events, to see beyond crowns and thrones, and to consider the costs of ambition and control. From the cold stone of a medieval cathedral to the modern headlines on child exploitation, the past speaks in whispers, urging vigilance, compassion, and action. The young empress may have survived the palace, but history remembers her as a symbol of stolen childhoods, of the machinery of power, and of the human cost that often goes unnoticed beneath the gilded surface of empires. The price of power is often paid in silence, and the echoes of lost childhoods reach far beyond their time. Agnes of France's story is more than history, it's a mirror of the forgotten and exploited. Children still pay the price of power, ambition, and indifference. If this tale unsettled you, subscribe to The Silent Past and turn on notifications. More hidden stories of empires, power, and lives lost beneath crowns await you. And in the comments tell us, which haunting story from history still echoes in today's world? Your voice keeps the past alive.